they broke violations, they have to pay me back. So I turned around, called that company back, told them what happened. Guess what? They issued me a refund, no hesitation, no questions asked.
Hey friends, it's Jay Lobos coming back to you on another episode. And on today's episode, we actually have special guest here from California. Drove here to Fort Lauderdale and obviously decided to come to Miami to give us a little bit of a background with regards to a testimonial. Obviously, I know that Berto went ahead. We actually have, as you guys know, obviously,
Berto, I'm the office manager. They flew, by the way. They didn't drive. They flew.
California. Drove here to Fort Lauderdale, and
here we have Bears and we have Simone. We have the pleasure of having them and showcasing them today. They came down. They've been in the program. We've actually. Me and Bears have actually been working together for the last few weeks, battling with American Express, which is an interesting story, and we're going to share it with you guys.
So go ahead, guys. More or less, I guess, give us some information as to more or less how you found Buildworth Strategies. Obviously through research, or how did you come across that?
Well, actually, just so you guys know, good story, Berto. Buildworth Strategies, how I came across it was because I was looking for a company to more enhance my credit. My credit was kind of okay. I was somewhat comfortable, but not fully satisfied to where it has the potential of being where it should. Yeah. So basically, someone who's very special and close to me, of course, really said, hey, I've been looking at these, it was first with Keeping It Real when it was with Ray, and then basically was going through those, he was going through those videos, and he said, hey, you should take a look at this, and I fell in love with you guys' videos ever since, and from those videos I've actually have applied it to wanting to enhance and improve on my credit even more, just from based on the information you guys were relaying to the audience. So from there, and being at the time that I had 2 business accounts with a potential creditor with American Express, and those accounts were starting to defaulter, so it was basically where at that point I went ahead and decided, you know what, it was shifting from one way into another, due to circumstances that happened. So what ended up happening was I had some flaws in my credit report that I did want to repair. It didn't really do any significant damage, but just I kind of thought, okay, well, I want to improve it just for the better, and I don't like having, iffy credit scores, So I thought, okay, you know what, let's go ahead and do this. So of course. He told me about you guys. I actually told him is that, hey, you know what? If I'm gonna join them, I only want it to either be Ray, Alberto, or Gusto. One of those 3. If it ain't one of those 3, it's not a deal. And when I called in, I went ahead and called in because basically prior to this, at the time before I inquired and called you, Alberto, it was where I was with Lexington Law.
Right.
So what happened is that I said, okay, I'm now with Lexington Law. I'm not fully, completely satisfied for what they're doing because they weren't disputing everything all at once in the process what you guys do.
Right.
It was where they were doing it just little bits at a time, like 3 or 4 at a time, which was not something that I wanted to dispute in a situation or to dispute an account. That was either had inaccurate information or was kind of faulty in some sort of way.
Right.
So what happened is that I called for the free consultation. The credit evaluation.
Right, credit evaluation.
So what happened is that I got on the phone. I got one of the reps. I think it was Josh or somebody. I forgot who it was. I told this cat. I said, no, I want either Alberto, Gusto, or Ray. Put me through to one of them. He said, oh, okay. Well, let me go and get my sales manager. And I said, who's that? Alberto. I said, good, go. So what happened is that I got this wonderful man here on the phone. He definitely got on the phone and said, hey, Baron, what's going on? What can we do for you? I said, hey, man, I got these situations with my report. One was with Wells Fargo.
Right.
Wells Fargo has been giving me a hard time getting the charge off that they have on my credit report. They wouldn't take it off. So I'm like thinking, you know what? Okay, they're not going to take it off. I'm going to get these guys to do it. Or, because Lexington Law, they kind of didn't tackle that particular account yet. So I said, okay, it's closed, it's paid for. What in the world would they need to have this on here for? So I went ahead and told Roberto the whole story about Wells Fargo. He went over to free credit evaluation. He saw that my credit report wasn't all bad. Actually, it looked pretty okay. It wasn't a lot we had to do. He told me, hey, Baron, it looks like we can tackle this thing with Wells Fargo. You have some things with Navient that needs to also be taken care of. So I went ahead and told him, hey, let's knock out everything, because there was some late inaccurate information that was also on Navient.
Yep.
Right.
So at the time, what ended up happening is that I went ahead, told Alberto, let's go ahead and knock this off. Because they had some 90 late and 120-day lates, which we had to do with forbearance situations. They weren't accurately reporting the forbearance information on the credit report. So I just said, okay, we need to challenge those. What can we do? I think one of the programs you told me about was where they have a program usually with student loans is where if you pay $5 a month or a certain amount.
Rehabilitation program.
Yes, exactly. And it's where they would put all of those lates into an okay or current status.
Right.
As if you were never late.
Correct.
And you have to be in that for at least 9 months in order for that rehabilitation program. So I thought that was a good one. You told me about what the steps were to proceed with that. And the same thing with Wells Fargo. And so I joined the program without hesitation, went ahead and canceled Lexington Law. What ended up happening is that during the process with Wells Fargo, something else came into a blockage, which was with American Express, unfortunately. Now, the situation with American Express, which was something that was really damaging to my credit report, because at the time, as you guys were trying to get those accounts with Wells Fargo and Navient into a good status, it was already one of the scores with Equifax went from being within a 600 to a 786.
Right.
And so I was like, holy smokes. So what ended up happening, and we saw this on the credit report. We went and everything with the credit report was good and then from that I said, who's still? I'm sorry. Alberto.
Okay.
Got the names all wrong. And so I said, Alberto, I want to apply for a new credit card. And so what did he say? He said, okay, let's do a soft pull, to see if you qualify for this card.
Let's see what you pre-qualify for.
Yes, and we was thinking for Capital One.
Right.
But I already have a Capital One card, which is the Quicksilver, which gains you cash back on every purchase that you do.
1.5%. Right.
Exactly. And what happened is that I told him that basically Discover has always been a card I wanted. And so what happened is, we went on to the Discover website, saw that they have a soft pull a system where you go in there and put in the information, and they don't do it as a hard inquiry. They do it as a soft inquiry. So it doesn't hit your credit report as a hard inquiry. What happened is, he asked me, what kind of card would you like? They have these different products. Are you looking more for miles? Are you looking more for cash back or balance transfer? So I thought, okay, let's do the cash back, because I already have. Well, actually, no. I think I said balance transfer, but there was something that went eerie with that, or something why we didn't do that one. So, and I think that was the one that had the Chrome. So we said, okay, let's do the Chrome, but then we turned around and said, no, let's do the cashback instead. Best decision ever. What happened was, he said, I think you have a most likely chance for what we're seeing here is that you'll get approved for one of the cards. What happened? Boom, got approved for Discover based on Equifax. That's who they go by, is through Equifax, which was basically based upon that 786 credit score that we saw on there.
Perfect.
And that was amazing how that credit score jumped to a significant amount, over 100 points. And based on that 100 points, it gave me of a card. But thank goodness we did that when we did, because about no more than about a week later is when the situation with American Express, where they put my account as a charge-off, which wasn't a charge-off because I wasn't late or anything, but they put some inaccuracies on there and it tanked my credit score by 164 points.
Right.
And so it went from like a 786 down to like a 540 something. It was a huge.
He took a significant hit.
Yeah, it was significantly bad too. So what ended up happening is that now we're trying to battle with American Express. It was where I had a business gold and a business platinum account. What happened is that they put charge-offs on both of those accounts, which there is no charge-off on either one of those accounts because I was paying religiously on them. I actually went ahead and closed the accounts because there were just some situations I wasn't happy with American Express at the time because they put me at a mainly like more of an unsecured limit to, which was I guess you might as well say what they call that, like where you don't have no limit.
The charge card.
Yeah,
it's
a charge card. It was the charge card.
No limit.
Yeah, it was one of those sort of cards, and I went ahead and closed it out because they went from that to put me on a limit.
Right.
So what happened is that what I wanted to do is that before I paid them off, what I wanted to get a paid in full letter because they had a charge off on my account, which wasn't a charge off. They said I was failing to pay, which was also an inaccurate.
While they were taking your
while they was taking my payments, yeah. And so what happened in the end is that I got on the phone with Alberto. I told him, Alberto, no, I do not want to pay them off on anything until they send a pay in full letter. That is one way, and that was learned based upon their videos, is that, to get something guaranteed in writing, because if you get a representative...
Pay for deletion.
Yeah, pay for deletion.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was something else we wanted as well. So American Express would not do it. They don't do that as a policy, so... me and Alberto have been going back and forth with them, trying to get them to budge. In one phone call, unfortunately, in that first phone call, we was on the phone with the credit bureau department.
Right.
They put us through with one lady who pretty much was not being very cooperative. She was being actually non-sensitive to the account. Actually, as an overall rule, we requested to have a supervisor pretty much call us back to go over the specifics of the account, and she acted like she didn't want to put us through it. Supervisor said a supervisor would call us back in 30 minutes. Never did. Never did call us back. So Berto said, hey, let's give them some time. If this doesn't work, we'll have to do another strategy. What ended up happening is we tried a different strategy where we got the credit bureau department, one of the account managers that's handling the account because of the fact of the closure of the account, and also that account manager's supervisor, all in a conference call. So in that conference call, let me tell you guys, that was, I don't even know what word to use.
Fireworks.
Yes, it was fireworks, but it was a living hell trying to get all of these people to agree upon something, because they wouldn't accept the fact that it was showing up as a charge-off. They were stating that they're showing it as a collections account, which wasn't accurate because we were looking right at the credit report where it said it was a charge-off. It ended up being, they hung up on us originally.
The first time.
And then the account manager from the collections team wound up calling us back and saying, hey, we got disconnected. So he got everybody all back on the conference call. And what ended up happening, and I'll let Alberto take it from there.
Yeah, well, basically, bottom line, we were able to speak with them. We got them to actually approve the fact that they got you in some sort of a program.
Right.
And we got him enrolled into some sort of a program where, based on that program, 48 hours from the moment that he enrolled, they already sent us documentation stating that they received it, that he's enrolled, and once he finishes paying the outstanding balance, they agreed upon to delete or remove the account itself from the credit bureaus.
Fantastic. So let me go back into this, Bear. So based on the level of attention that you've received being in Buildworth Strategies, is that something that maybe you were expecting from a company coming from a different company? Or obviously just given the level of attention that you got with Lexington on this particular case? Well,
basically with Lexington Law, I don't think they would have went into a very intense, thorough conference call like what we did with Alberto here. And those sort of results, I wasn't really know what the results were going to be, whether if it was going to be from you guys or from the creditor. I was thinking maybe it was going to be a combination of both. Or maybe I would say altogether with Buildworth Strategies, because I know when I tried it myself with the creditor, they would not budge, and they almost didn't budge with him. But at the same token, I would say the majority of it came from Buildworth Strategies because of the format and the tactics and the words that were used to describe the nature of the account is what made them think like, okay, these guys. They
know what they're talking about.
Yeah, in other words, they know that I got with a credit restoration company because of the fact that I meant business about getting this done, and they were literally willing to do it through me personally, so it had to take a stronger force in order for that to happen, and that was through you guys.
I appreciate that. So not only that, I know that you were obviously over lunch you were telling me some stuff with regards to a collection company also that you really
right. That's an interesting story.
That's a really interesting story based on some, and just give us a little bit of feedback on that.
What happened is this is in regards to a creditor that was on a credit card that I had back about in 2008, 2009. It was the account was listed as a charge-off collections, and this company wound up calling me. It was a collection company, and what ended up happening was they called me real early in the morning. It was around, I would say, about 8 o'clock. About 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, somewhere around there, and which is a no, because you can't call actually after, you're supposed to call after 9.
Right.
So you can't call before 9, so that was one violation they did. The other thing is, too, they wound up saying it was the person who was at my door saying, we have a summons, I'm here to deliver a summons. And it was at my Atlanta residence. So what ended up happening is that they went ahead and literally was looking to sue me. And what ended up happening, I called the person who did the filing for the summons, I guess you could say. They turned around and told me this is based on a creditor that is looking to potentially sue you for the debt, and the debt was only less than $2,000. It was like at $1,600 or $1,700.
Right.
And I'm like, these people are looking to sue me for that small amount of money. And so I spoke with the lady. She said, well, you could either take care of this now, or we're gonna have to pursue further and move forward with taking you to court, And I told them, well, I'm not at that residence. That's only just a secondary residence. I'm not there. And so she just said, well, you can go ahead and do this with me now where we can settle, and we won't move forward. We will just leave this here in our office. What happened? Okay, I went ahead and did the stupid thing, but I didn't have the knowledge at the time to went ahead and just pay on it to prevent from being sued. Okay, so basically, he wound up telling me, no, I think there's a way where you don't have to do that, because even though you paid into it or did a different arrangement, which I didn't know, when you pay or make arrangements with them, it re-ages the account.
Right.
And that was something I did not know, because I was, at the time they told me I was being sued, I was like franticing and just freaking out and not thinking outside the box, like, okay, let me do some research first, but they made it sound, it's so intimidating and so demanding that I had to do this or they was going to sue me. I went ahead and just said, okay, let me go ahead and do this then. But I made the first payment came out. They did want the first payment, and then after the first payment, I got smarter and thought, let me do a little bit more research in this, and that's where I went to you guys' videos, and I found out about the whole statute of limitation process, and then come to find out, I went and did some research on that account. It was basically, it closed back in 2009. This is 2019 where they're trying to sue.
10
it was
years
10
later.
years ago.
Wow.
And so I got smart about it, and I went and researched some more of you guys' videos. I looked up the statute of limitations laws and everything, and for California on Google, it's 4 years. So I'm like thinking, they're way outside the statute of limitation limit. They can't sue on this account. So even though it may have re-aged because of the fact I agreed to that new contract, but then yet again, what made me think was, okay, number one, they trespassed on my property because I live in the Georgia residence. It's a concierge building, so you cannot go to my door on the level that I'm on in that building without signing in first. So that's trespassing. Number two, they said that I was being sued, which you have to go to the county courthouse. And when I called the county, Fulton County, they had no acknowledgement of any kind of summons on record at all. And that has to be in the court system's records. And that was not in the records at all. So I'm like thinking, okay, I got plenty of leverage to keep these people in the butt, literally.
Right.
And so I went ahead and called the lady. Alberto has a copy of this recorded conversation, actually, because I told them they were being recorded. And I told the lady, well, I got some news for you. You guys are outside the statute of limitation law, so technically I don't need to owe or pay anything to you guys. She said, oh, yes, you do. You still owe the debt. No, I don't literally owe the debt because, number one, you guys are collecting on an account that's 10 years old. Number two, you guys told me I was being sued or being summoned which there is no record of me being summoned in the county court system. And number 3, you guys also trespassed on my property and went past concierge, which is also another violation. So you got more going against you than you do for you. So she said, okay, but we also show that this account was opened in Georgia back in 2008. I didn't live in Georgia in 2008. They said, well, didn't you live there in 2014? No. I didn't go in there till 2016. Oh, they show you opened this account in Georgia. No, if you go into past bank statements, it shows California. Yeah. All those statements and everything went to California. Right. Where is Georgia coming from? Well, we're just going by what the what the creditor gave to us, which they show you lived in Georgia at the time. No. So that was another problem. So they had on top of that inaccurate information based on what the account was open.
Right.
So from that, it was where they closed the contract. What ended up happening was they were supposed to send me some statements that showed the proof that the account was open in California at the time that it went into delinquency. They weren't able to provide that proof. So then again, I wound up calling them back and asked, hey, I need to go and get a refund. And actually a refund was even mentioned in the phone call that I forwarded on to Roberto.
Listen up, guys. This is important.
Yes. It was basically where it gets juicier. What happened? I'm sorry. What happened is that they actually said in an initial phone call that was recorded.
The lady,
yeah, the lady actually said that I had to go to court in order to prove of the residency and all that in order for it to be thrown out of court. Didn't even have to go through all that. It was very simple. I thought I would go behind their back and do something even smaller. I called the creditor myself. I told the creditor, you know what, you have this company here that's saying that they're representing you. Number 2, they took the payment stating that I owe this money back. You know what the creditor told me? They're not representing them. They don't even have nothing to do with the account anymore. It's outside the statute of limitations. They don't have none of that because you're not even supposed to keep records of any of those statements or anything past 7 years.
Right.
So they don't even have all that is considered to them burned and buried. And so what I wound up doing was they said themselves that they have to pay me back that money. Since they went outside the statute of limitations, they broke violations, they have to pay me back. So I turned around, called that company back, told them what happened. Guess what? They issued me a refund, no hesitation, no questions asked.
Not only that, you know what's the part that kicks me? The lady that he has spoken to that told him that he might have a chance to beat this account, she was actually under investigation the next time he called, and she ended up getting fired because she rendered too much information, I guess.
Yes.
So nevertheless, guys, so the key component here is we have to do our homework, we have to do our research. Do your due diligence. Go into, obviously, just like Bear did, obviously follow the advice that we put out there. And nevertheless, look at statute of limitations within your state. Obviously, pull the credit report. Call the original creditor. Make sure that, obviously, they're not in violation or that information was literally sold to that company. But nevertheless, if you do your homework, you can have a real good positive outcome. I wanted to go ahead and just jump in here with Simone. And I know, obviously, we were also talking during lunch, and you have a few things, obviously, you wanted to go ahead and just share with our audience?
Yeah, I must say, when the first time I saw your video, guys, that was, at the time, I wasn't thinking about credit restoration, but I know Barry C. was with Lexington Law at the time. And that things that they just discussed happened, but they were giving a deadline. You need to pay us. And we were scared, and then we fell for it. But I thought, but I know I saw this. You know, this is a scam, but I can't prove it. But
how do I go about
it? By the time I was looking for your video, the person said, okay, we had to pay, and then I found your video. I said, look at this. I'm embarrassing. He goes so pumped up. He sucked them up, all your videos. He got all the information he needed. They called you guys, and it was like so Lexington Law. I want these people. They're very passionate. What would they do? They really, believe in their clients. They want to help them. Their clients. They don't see them as dollar bills.
Yeah.
They see them as a case to help them.
Yes.
And that's what you did. You just pick up the phone and says, sign me up, and then here we go.
That's where we came into.
Yeah. So nevertheless, guys, obviously it's a little bit different than our other testimonial videos, but nevertheless, we were just sitting down with Bear and Simone, and they were just sharing this this information with me. As a matter of fact, this was obviously the first time me talking to both of them,
Right.
and obviously they're wonderful people. Nevertheless, if we do our due diligence, we come together. This information is out there for us. Is what we were sharing literally over lunch. We were telling them, these creditors and these bureaus, they have massive attorney offices, and they have all this backup and support. And what do we got?
Who do we have?
Who do we have? Yes. So I think the more we keep this conversation going, the more that you guys out there see, you do your homework, you do your research, then you guys could also have potentially the success that you're obviously seeking and needing in order for you guys to get to your financial goals. So, with that said,
just to add to that, guys, again, this is living proof of just guys putting the information into practice.
Yes.
A lot of us, we love to preach, but people love to procrastinate, and rather than putting all of this knowledge into practice, people just they want it as a given. Oh, it doesn't work. Guys, look how far it could go just by doing your due diligence. Just going on a systematic process, doing a little bit of homework, finding out where's it coming from, who is it, are they even able to collect in my state? You understand? I mean, all of these little things, and thank God, we came out, everything worked out. Came out positive, as you see. I feel really good because we took,
we took a major company with American Express, which we wouldn't cooperate in that first call, but a little bit of aggression and knowledge of what we knew, what we were talking about. It was where they budged and they went ahead and turned things around. And for what we understand, American Express are not easy creditors to have budge in your favor. It's where you have to go through a little bit of process. Somebody even told me that I guess for anybody to get anything done through American Express, they have to be potentially literally sued in order to have it deleted or removed.
They are their own collection company. But nevertheless, guys, until next time, for you guys obviously watching this video, obviously if this was very informative, if you could go ahead and share this with someone else probably going through the similar situation, go ahead and share, like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for the love and support, guys.
Yes.
Knowledge is power, guys.
Peace. Take care.
That's what's up.